Hi, welcome to another story from Empty Tigers Stories and Empty Tigers feature film. Today's guest is Coach Bill Chumbler, a legendary basketball coach of Cairo High School in Illinois and then Paducah Tillman High School in Kentucky. Coach Chumbler has a total of 780 winning games, putting him in a very elite group of coaches. At Cairo High School, his team went to the Sweet 16 5 times, and in 1993, Coach Chumbler was elected into the Illinois Hall of Fame for his coaching achievements. And by the way, that 780 wins is a record. It's an honor to have you here today, Coach Chumbler. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we explore more about your awesome coaching career, I'd like to talk a little bit about your playing career, because you were quite the phenom when you were a player in high school and college, right? You played with or against some other legends that most of our viewers would know, including Pat Riley and Wes Unseld.
That's true.
So you were also once voted into the top 100 players in the nation, high school players in the nation. And you averaged over 25 points a game, and you broke the all-time scoring record of the Louisville Invitational Tournament with 47 points, right?
42.
42?
Yeah,
It's a typo. Take the 47. No one's going to remember, right?
Okay.
Going back to those younger playing days, what are some of your fondest memories?
Well, one of the best ones, to get invited into the Louisville Invitational Tournament. They invited the top 8 teams in Louisville and then the top 4 teams in the rest of the state. And then we just got through winning the Paducah Christmas Tournament, which was a good one. And we were 20-0, and so we got invited into LIT, and we played Louisville DeSales the first game, and it seemed like the Louisville players got most of the recognition, and players down here didn't get as much. So getting the opportunity to play up there was good. So we played Louisville DeSales first game, and we beat Louisville DeSales, and it sounded like a bragging. I guess I am, but I had 37 against them.
Okay.
And then the 3-game record actually was 83, so I scored 42 the next one. So I had a 79 and two. So we got beat.
But you guys didn't have 3-pointers back then,
no,
right?
We didn't have 3-pointers.
Were you a slice and drive guy with layups, or were you a pure outside shooter, catch and shoot?
I could catch and shoot, or I could drive and shoot. I probably 40% of my shots would have been from 3-point range. But against Louisville Central, I remember it was just one of those games where, they had me cut off at the basket one time. There was a player on my right, left, and goal. I couldn't turn around, and I knew the goal was behind me somewhere. So I just jumped up and flipped it like that, and they fouled me, and I made the shot. And I didn't even see the goal.
I read somewhere that you may have had 36 offers from colleges.
Actually, I had 38.
38, okay.
But and then that was just one of those things. When I broke the record in LIT, of course, back then, there wasn't the internet, and of course, all big tournament like that, coaches, a lot of college coaches were at the game, and they saw the game, and so therefore they wanted me. I visited Kentucky, and Coach Rupp called me in his office, and my dad and I are sitting on one side, he's on the other, and he said, Bill said, we've been watching you for 2 years, and we saw you break the record at Louisville and all and that. And he said, well, I've got 7 of you in, and Pat Riley was one of them. We all wanted to play against each other, but it was against the rules to play. We could play against each other. And so anyway, he said, I've got 7 of you in, and I'm going to let you be, since you're in Kentucky, you're going to be the first one to sign. And he had to pay. I said, well, I'm not ready to sign yet. Or he said, what's that? And I said, and he said, he just couldn't imagine being from Kentucky and not signing. And I told him I had other schools that were going to visit. And he said, are you interested in those schools? And I said, not really. And he said, well, why you waste your time and money? And I thought, well, you just don't realize my situation. But anyway, he said, what schools are you interested in? And I said, well, I like Murray State, and I like Mississippi State, and I like Kentucky. And he said, you don't want to go to Murray State. He said, you won't get the recognition you deserve. He said, you don't want to go to Mississippi State because they don't play your style of ball. They won't show your shooting, your ball handling. Then he tried to pressure me into signing. He said, I've got 7 of you in this week and going to have 7 next week, and I'm going to give a scholarship to the first 7 to sign.
Okay.
And like I wouldn't have one yet. And my dad looked at him, and he said, well, that's fine. He's got other schools, he can go to. Somebody. He said, oh, no. He said, you got a scholarship. And my dad said, well, if he signs, I want you to come to Mayfield. and sign him at Mayfield. He said, I'll do that. He agreed,
Okay.
he agreed to do that. And,
Pay a little homage to
Yeah,
Mayfield in
to
the
Mayfield.
hometown, right?
all right.
You mentioned Pat Riley and
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, Pat Riley had his fingers taped up. And we said, what happened? What's wrong with your hand? He said, well, I got it caught on the rim. And we're thinking, yeah, 6'3", I bet you did. But we didn't realize how he could jump later. He never lost a tip.
after your college playing days, right? You chose to go straight into coaching. And I'm wondering do you have any offers to try out for any NBA teams? It was different
I
back
did.
then.
I did. I had, matter of fact, there were only maybe 10 or 12 NBA, not that many.
Right.
But I didn't get drafted. But
They did have a draft back then?
Yeah, they did, but there wasn't that many, maybe
Yeah.
3 players, something like that. And then, but I did get a letter from the Los Angeles Lakers and also the New York Knicks
Okay.
offered me a tryout. And they just started the ABA. And I thought, well, if I get one from Louisville Colonels, but I never got one from them. And then Murray had offered me a graduate assistantship to help coach the freshman team.
Okay.
And then I could get my master's degree. And so rather than take off and do that, sometimes I wonder, but they would, we had a real good center named Dick Cunningham, 6'10", and he was backup center to Jabbar at Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
And pros would come watch him play. And also a kid named Claude Burden, #1 draft pick of the Colonels. And they would watch me play and they'd say, well, your offense is plenty good. We're worried about defense. The big guy back then, you couldn't play zones, and worried about guys like Jerry West, Oscar Robertson,
Right.
taking another goal, posting you up. But they said, you might, but they really liked the way I shot the ball and my offense, things
Awesome.
like that. And that's the reason I got the letter.
Did anything specific that you learned as a player help you transition into coaching? Was it you had good coaches and you tried to emulate how they coached you? What did you learn, the good and the bad, and what you wanted to bring to your players?
Okay, when I was at Mississippi State, go back to that a little bit. Freshmen couldn't play on the varsity.
Okay.
And we had a coach named Joe Dangold, was very good. And I hate to admit, I sound like I'm bragging, but I averaged about 22 points a game on the freshman team. And I really enjoyed playing for Joe Dangold. He was a great coach, and I learned so much from him. And I had both schools, and I had great coaches at both schools. Dave McCarthy was a great coach, and then at Murray State, Cal Luther, Benny Purcell. I wasn't the leading scorer at Murray, but I was the second leading scorer. And we had good teams. We tied for the OBC championship and got beat in the playoffs, or we would have played in the NCAA tournament. And then you were talking about Wesley Unseld. Then back then they also had a college, Indiana, Kentucky College All-Star game.
Okay.
And so I played with Unseld.
Okay.
In that game, I remember him, of course, he was a great player and a great guy, but he goes up and gets the rebound, and I'm a starting guard, so anyway, I fire off to the side, wait for him to come down and turn and outlet. Well, he catches it and turns in midair and throws it to me to hit my chest. The coach was Peck Hickman, the coach at Louisville, and he said, "Be ready, Chumbler, be ready." And I thought, damn, how do you get ready for that? I looked like a BB coming at me.
Were you able to get possession?
Oh yeah, I got possession and got it. We weren't going to score.
All right.
But he was one of the few guys in the NBA that could put it over his head and outlet it late to the floor. I mean, he was a great player,
Good athlete,
and a great athlete. He just signed a contract with Baltimore then.
Okay.
And but a good guy.